I was asked recently to speak about the construction of melody, how we use the notes in the scale to evoke emotion in the listener's ear. So that's what I want to talk about today. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Mateo Lewis. I'm a professional musical theater composer. I'm splitting my time right now between here in Toronto and New York City. And I post videos all the time on this channel where I analyze the music theory behind the great works of musical theater, like the works of Stephen Sondheim or the works of Jason Robert Brown, for example. Today, though, instead of analyzing one particular song, I want to talk about a more general phenomenon that I've observed in the world of music, and that's the use of semitones in melody. If you don't know this, which I'm sure you do because you're brilliant at music, but here's a quick refresher. We've got two semitones in every major scale. Here's a major scale. Let's do C major, for example. Now, a tone is any two notes that are separated by one note on the piano. So, for example, here is a tone because we're separated by that note in the middle. So that's a tone. Semitones are half the distance, so they are not separated by any notes, black or white, on the piano. That is a semitone right there because you'll notice there's no black note in between them. Semitone, semitone. Because the semitones are closer together, there's almost like a gravity between them. They really pull towards each other. To me, and of course music is subjective, so this is not an objective way of looking at it, but this is how semitones always make me feel personally. There feels like there's a real sense of yearning in a semitone when a semitone is used in a melody. Ta-dum, ta-dum. Yearning is the only word I can use to describe that feeling, what that does to me. And when I think about it in terms of musical theater, it's really important to match the emotional content of the melody with the character's emotions. And so if we can use these semitones to express the yearning that a character feels, the audience can feel that instinctively. Now, what makes these semitones special is that there also is one note in each of the semitones that is from the home chord of the key. In C major, we're in the C major scale, right? The key of C major. In the key of C major, the home chord is the chord of C major. That makes sense, right? Ta-da! The notes are C, E, and G. Each semitone includes one of those notes. So this one is F to E, and E is the home chord, or is part of the home chord. And then this one is B to C, and C is part of the home chord. So they each have one note that is part of the home chord and one note that is a semitone away, very close with a lot of gravity. If you end a melody on a note that is a part of the home chord, that melody feels resolved. It feels final. You know, listen to this, for example. We have... There, I ended the melody on that E, which is part of the C major chord, so it felt like the end of the melody. If I were to end the melody on a note that was not part of the home chord, it would not quite sound finished. Listen to this, for example. Right? It feels like something needs to come after that. Oh, there we go. That feels like the end because I landed on that C, which is part of the home chord. So because landing on the home chord feels resolved, and us in Western society, we're so used to hearing that sound of resolving a melody on the home chord, our ear expects that, our ear wants to hear that. When we hear something that's a semitone away, it creates a lot of pull towards that familiar home chord sound. We get this semitone away, and then it resolves to the note that's in the home chord. It's such a powerful feeling of tension and release, yearning and satisfaction. It is such a powerful sound in music. Now, these two semitones are also not exactly the same because one of them resolves down to its home chord note. F is right above E, and it moves down to E, and E is in the home chord of C major. B is right below C, and it moves up to C, and C obviously is in the chord of C major. So because they move in different directions, they have a different feeling to me. Again, here's the subjective part again, but to me, the F to E semitone, the semitone that resolves down, there's a resigned yearning to that. It feels like yearning still, but it feels resigned. It feels like I am yearning for something, but deep down I know it will never be and can never be. You know who uses this semitone a lot in their songwriting, actually, is Taylor Swift. Why you gotta be so mean? Right? That feels like, why you gotta be so mean? It feels like, oh man, I wish you weren't this mean, but I know I don't have the power to change you. It feels resigned. Same with you belong with me. That's also 4/3. So Taylor Swift uses it a lot, and it's the same feeling. I know you belong with me, and I wish that you could recognize that, but I know you never will. A resigned yearning. That's the word I would use to describe that. The other semitone, though, reaches up. B reaches up to C, so because it moves up, there's a lightness to it. It's more uplifting. It's hopeful. That's how it sounds to me anyways. It feels optimistic. That's why so many I Want numbers use this. Defying Gravity is another example of a song that uses this in, not in the main melody so much, but in the accompaniment. We get this, if I played it in C major, it's just over and over and over that semitone, dun 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 dun, reaching upwards. Yeah, it's inspiring. It's hopeful. It's optimistic. Waving Through a Window is another really, really good example. Waving through a window. If Evan Hansen were to sing waving through a window, going down, it wouldn't feel as hopeful. It wouldn't feel like he was actually trying to connect to anybody. It would feel more like he was resigned to the fact that no one will ever want to connect with him. Do you know what I mean? There's a very different feeling. Waving, and then, whoa! The whoa uses this semitone. Whoa. So that feels resigned. It's like, whoa. Oh man, like they're not waving back. But the waving uses the upward semitone, so it feels very hopeful. And that helps us fall in love with the character. We get this really hopeful yearning. Oh, are you waving? And then we get the whoa, the disappointment of, oh, I guess not. And so that song is a really good example of actually how those semitones work. How they can be used to create that sense of yearning and reaching for something, and how they can be used to create it in a way that is more uplifting and more optimistic, and a way that is more resigned and more disappointed. And we can take those semitones and put them in our melodies in strategic places in order to really make the audience feel a character's wants and dreams and wishes. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know if you want me to do more videos like this where I just kind of talk about a theory I have about music and melody and composition. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe. If it doesn't sound interesting to you, subscribe anyways, because there's lots of other videos on the channel. Peace out, everybody. I will see you in the next video. See you soon.